Hello, everyone. Welcome to SPF21. My name is Zena Harris, and I'm president of GreenSpark Group. It's thrilling to say that sustainable production is on the rise in Canada. So this next panel is especially exciting. It is called Real Green Coast to Coast. Now, before we dive in, I wanted to acknowledge our lead partners who have made this event possible. We've got our transformational partner, Real Green, Creative BC, and MPPIA. Our presenting partner, MBS Equipment Company Canada. Our signature partner, CBC Radio Canada and Telefilm. Our Green Marketplace lead sponsor, The Green Shot. So it's important to think about how sustainability can spread widely. So up to moderate this session on Real Green Coast to Coast, we have Smiely, Khurana, the Real Green Sustainability Lead at Creative BC, supporting and connecting Real Green's expanding community of engagement through the implementation of Real Green's strategic plan, deepening industry's expertise and use of the tools on Real Green, furthering to transform production practices through the clean energy municipal collaboration, and we're going to help industry transition to a circular economy, which we've heard a little bit about today. So welcome, Smiely, and over to you.
Thanks, Zena. Thank you for having us, and thank you to everyone that's tuned in and joining us during this conversation. I just want to acknowledge I'm speaking from my home on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. And just a quick little overview of what Real Green is. Originating in BC in 2006, the Real Green Initiative has been a mainstay within the Provincial Film Commission at Creative BC. Now a national partnership managed by the Film Commission, the initiative helps Canada's motion picture industry unite to improve production practices and reduce environmental impacts through strategic collaboration and practical tools. We work closely with our 19 industry partners comprised of unions, guilds, producer organizations, studios, and vendors, all who provide funding and strategic oversight of the program. There is a spirit of collaboration and an understanding that we're all interconnected. All hands are coming on deck to advance green practices in meaningful and practical ways. A network of relationships, resources, and tools has been developed and proven to work and aid us with our three main strategic goals: net zero greenhouse gas emissions, transforming the industry, and a circular economy. I'm pleased to moderate this discussion today with this fabulous lineup of speakers, all of whom are partners of and sit on the Real Green Advisory Committee. These folks who are leading the change don't even need an introduction, as the work they've been doing is monumental, inspiring generations. So to start it off, let's go around, and after you introduce yourself, I'd love to hear what is one goal you're most passionate about or a change that you want to see related to sustainability. Start with Julie.
Well, I'm really happy to be here, and I feel like it's my 6th year working on the SPF with Zena. And so I'm Julie Bernard, Manager of Production Services and Real Green Partnerships at Creative BC's Film Commission. And I have been championing this Real Green for 5 years, and I'm so pleased that we've gotten as far as we have working with all our partners. So we've been proud to be part of the Sustainable Production Forum for, as I say, the last 6 years. And we are so excited about our conversation today, getting right down challenges, solutions, and how we're going to make it even better. So I know we're supposed to make it spicy with Smiley's asked us to come up with what we most want, and I want you all to be as passionate as I am. So off you go.
Thank you, Julie. Love that. Lisa.
Hey everybody, my name is Lisa Clarkson and I am the Executive Director of Business and Rights at CBC. I also do have responsibilities for environmental action at CBC English Services, and that's really just due to my love and passion taking Julie's invitation up. I just want to say also that I am in Toronto, and so I want to acknowledge the Indigenous treaty lands, Mississaugas of the Credit, and the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Wendat, and Haudenosaunee. And for the those in the audience with visual difficulties, I am a sort of middle-aged white woman with half blonde hair, half red, against brick background. My goal and aspiration, I think there's sort of two things I want to say. One is it's attitude and action. So my attitude, dogged insistence on action, not words. And what I want to see in terms of actions, two things. One is that every Canadian production in the next 12 months is using the carbon calculator. And the second is everyone in the industry, no matter what your role, is that you've either done a carbon literacy course or green storytelling course. So those are my two actions.
Thank you, Lisa. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Smiely. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Dunn. I'm a production consultant at Ontario Creates, which is an agency of the Ministry of Heritage, Tourism, Culture and Sport Industries here in Ontario. And I have been the lead consultant on the Ontario Green Screen since its inception back in early 2020. So I'm really happy to be here to carry this conversation with everybody today. So thanks for the invite. One thing that I'm very passionate about, one thing that I'd really like to see is a shift in the narrative from the doom and gloom related to sustainability, and that of being resilience, dedication, inspiration, and innovation, motivation, and all of those incredible things that can come out of what we're doing here. So that's one thing that I'm passionate about, and I'd like to move that forward. So thanks.
Thank you, Chris. And I totally agree. And I think our conversation today is hopefully that push in that direction as well. And Clara.
Hi, I'm Claire George. I am the chair of the DGC National Sustainability and Climate Action Committee. I have been a producer for over 25 years, originally from Toronto, now in BC. I'm on the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation, just north of Vancouver. And what I would like to see is that we do this now, because we are filmmakers, our industry we're used to working on timelines that are insane, and we can get anything done that is thrown at us. And I just want us to get this done. And I want us to be, in the next very, very near future, I want us to be 100% on clean energy, with everyone aware of what is going on, and so that we can normalize sustainable production and move on to continue making great content.
Thank you, Clara. And last but not least, Joanne, who actually we had you just stepped in today. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me. So yeah, I'm Joanne Gunsberg. You might have seen that John Rigo was going to be on this panel, but I'm just so excited to be here with everybody. I'm the Director of Sustainability at Sony Pictures. I work closely with the sustainable production folks, and I also look to cause marketing, employee engagement. And along, I think it kind of wraps up to what everyone's saying is what I'm excited about, and what inspires me is storytelling. I feel like our content has the power to inspire people. We have a giant voice, and I'm really excited about the movement of the green storytelling. And I agree with Chris, it can be positive and inspiring. And I really look forward to, in front of the camera, behind the camera, how we use what we do to inspire the world. So that's what I'm excited about.
Thank you, Joanne. So I just want to jump right into the conversation, if everyone's okay with that. So CBC published their Greening Our Story initiative earlier this year. So I just want to pass the mic over to Lisa. Are you able to share with us the missions and goals of this initiative?
Absolutely. The Greening Our Story strategy is up on our website, and if you haven't taken a look at it, I encourage you to do that. I'll just speak to some highlights of that, and I'm sure the organizers will share a link. But there's a couple things I just wanted to say about how that came to be and what's different about greening our story than our past approach. Really, what we were trying to accomplish is environmental thinking in everything we do. And I'm going to circle the do part. I think the action is really important. And so when we think about that, that is what we do as a content creator, that is what we do as a broadcaster, that is what we do as an employer, and that is also what we do as a workplace. And so against that backdrop, there are a couple of the pillars in our strategy. There's 4 pillars, but I just want to highlight 2 of them since this is the Sustainable Production Forum. And the first is producing sustainably. And so what are we doing to produce sustainably? With the carbon calculator and internal targets for internal production, external targets as well. And for those of you who were tuned in this morning, you may have heard Barb Williams, who is the head of CBC English Services, announce our new requirement that in the coming months, we will be requiring carbon calculator or comparable for all of our independently produced original commissions. And so that's something that we're doing under the Producing Sustainably pillar to hopefully advance the carbon neutrality of the industry. So producing sustainably, that's one thing. I will also say that in order to accelerate that action, I am hiring an environmental sustainability lead. Look on our website. So if anybody has that magic elixir at the crossroads of production and environmental sustainability, I encourage you to apply. But that will help accelerate our producing sustainably action. So that's the first pillar. The 4th pillar I just want to quickly speak to is shaping our narrative. And that's so important for us as a production community, for us as media, to really think about what are we serving to audiences to help them understand humans' impact on the world that we live in. And so around like, what are we doing on producing shaping our narrative? Green storytelling, we're really focused on trying to learn and share and grow green storytelling courses, including supported by Real Green and Green Spark. We've got green content zones now on GEM, Changing Planet. And also announcement last week, we're doubling down on climate journalism, and we've got established a dedicated unit in coverage. So all of that is a little bit about not just the words on a page about what the strategy is, but more importantly, what we're doing to try and accomplish those goals.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. And I think you did an amazing job. My next question was about what role can CBC play across Canada in environmental leadership. I think you did a really great job covering that just by the values that CBC holds. And we've been seeing that through all these initiatives and working closely with you, Real Green, with CBC over this year. But to follow up with that question, how does collaboration play into that, including with Real Green?
It really sort of connects, I think, back to the attitude. And I have to say, I'm just endlessly impressed and grateful for Creative BC and for Real Green, the spirit of collaboration, not competition, that they offered and extended right from the get-go. And so whether or not that is Real Green as the licensee of the carbon calculator, helping us get a license and offer that to the production partners we work with, whether or not it's that national Real Green group that was spoken about off the top, that's just essential. That's led by both Real Green and Creative BC, and really that shared action, I think, will absolutely deliver our biggest impact. And so whether or not it's sharing information about how to sustainably deal with wasted food, whether or not it's sharing information about courses, and then the others, we either can send our the people we work with to those courses or try and do something to fill the gaps. I think that sense of collaboration is really critical to helping us advance quickly.
Thank you, Lisa. So over to you, Clara, who is the chair of the National Sustainability and Climate Action Committee at DGC. I'd love to know, how that committee formed. What are the objectives behind it? And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's one of the first labor organizations to have a green committee as well in-house. Are you able to speak to that?
I'm not sure about that, but I know that it started in August of 2020. I came aboard in the spring of 2021. So yeah, this year, because the former chair got a different elected position at the DGC and didn't have time for it. And I was thrilled because I had my pandemic moment and gave up producing to concentrate on sustainability. And one of my goals personally was to start really empowering the membership of the Guild and all the other unions. So, we are what Lisa's doing with CBC is spectacular. We can't do that. We're not a broadcaster. But what we can do is we can make sure that our members can step up to the plate. So our pillars are to lead, empower, and advocate for sustainable productions. And we want to make sure that we are not only telling or helping people point them in the right direction, because we believe that there's a lot that's doable right now. And by doing that now, you're going to be ready for the new, as we develop new technologies, or we have to shift, the way we're producing. We don't want to start from zero. So we should really be embracing all that low-hanging fruit that we're literally stepping on every day and we're not picking up. And I think that, what we really want to do is we want to work on, training. We want to work on real concrete solutions. We launched a website today called dgcgreen.ca. And our slogan is, here's how. This is just, here's how. You want to know, you're a locations manager, go down the list. You're an ALM, go down the list. It's divided up by caucuses. We're talking about the narrative with the directors, because the directors can, and the editors, because they can contribute to the narrative. Whereas with the art director, well, everyone can contribute to the narrative. But I mean, we're making sure that people aren't being told to do what they can't do, what's not within their jobs. And we're giving them tips to work within their jobs. And this is housed at the national level, because we felt that, like film production across Canada, each province and each district has a different level of production and a different level of membership. So we don't want anyone left behind. So DGC National is going to be creating the tools that are available to the smaller jurisdictions that can't have their own sustainability committees. Meanwhile, BC and Ontario have started their own sustainability committees, as has Quebec. So we're working on, we're all talking about starting it. So it's it's overarching, and it's small, it's regional, and it's national, and we're just trying to do it all at once. And I have an amazing committee. We've met almost every single week since March for a couple of hours. So we've got, we're going for it.
That's amazing to hear. And I'm curious to know, why is engaging labor organizations and its members essential to the future of sustainable film production in Canada and across the world?
Well, we want to stay competitive. We have some of the best crews in the world. And as this becomes mandated, which it will, it's only a matter of time before we're told we have a carbon budget that we have to work with to create content. So, we don't want to be left unprepared. And I think that it's so important top down, and it's so important bottom up. It's great that it's fantastic, and we need kind of the regulations where, you have a carbon budget on how much fuel you can use, or how much lumber you can use, or what those mandates are to keep your carbon footprint under control. But then it's up to the production designer and the art directors and everybody to understand how to design for a circular economy. So we're trying to really approach it on all levels. And I think that it's amazing that the other unions are as well, because eventually everyone needs the same language. It's no good if only one union is trained in sustainability. You know, everybody needs to understand how to communicate for the greater good. We don't make content alone. This has always been a collaborative environment. You know, and we just really need to bring that into the discussion on every aspect of production.
Great. No, and that's amazing. And you know, this whole conversation is focused on that collaboration piece and why it's so essential, which brings me to Joanne. If you'd like to tell us a little bit about Sony Pictures' objectives and goals, because Sony has really been doing quite the work over the last few years in terms of environmental sustainability and mandating them productions.
Oh, great. Yeah, love to. Thank you. So Sony Pictures, we've had a robust, as Smiely said, environmental program launched in 2010. And we do have stated targets and goals that we've put out that we work towards. So from carbon, we're reducing our carbon. This is for Sony Pictures by 25%. We have a eliminate single-use plastic goal for 2025. And we've already started eliminating single-use plastic water bottles, and these are all global. We have a target for our employees involved to activate over 85%. And we have an influence and awareness target to reach 2 billion people and engage 2 million people on issues on sustainability. And then last, certainly not least, is our production target. So we set a goal of 100% of our productions to be called a sustainable production in North America, Latin America, and our EMEA region by 2025. As of now, we're at about 76%. So we're working towards it. And a lot of these, as you just said, I mean, this is a team effort. So we do this around the world. This is global. So these types of groups and working with Real Green, it's vital for us to achieve these goals. Productions happen locally. So since, we look at it from such a large scale, that however we can support the local teams that are doing this work, that are providing the productions, the infrastructure that they need. I mean, it helps us with our, and we have a target, we have a commitment. So I think that's, one of the great things about being part of Real Green.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I do want to highlight that Sony Pictures is one of the first studios to partner with Real Green, and you just touched base on why it's essential, to engage with groups and organizations and initiatives such as Real Green, and really having that local presence as well within the community. So thank you, Joanne. So I want to now pass it on to Julie Bernard to kind of speak on the history of Real Green. She's been here since the very start back in 2006, and how it's progressed in working within the Provincial Film Commission has really led the change here in Canada.
I'm very excited to go over the past. My God, 20 years. I've been at the Film Commission 20 years, and it did start in 2006 under Gordon Hardwick at that time, and then it was handed out to industry, and nothing really took hold. It was an interesting time. People weren't ready really to commit to sustainability. So fast forward to 2016 when Zena Harris called into Creative BC, and she was just about to curate her very first sustainability forum at BIP. And so we basically said, we're aboard, let's talk. Marnie and I and a couple of other in the team at the Film Commission got together and created our very first strategic plan. And then it was going knocking on doors. So CMPA was the very first to commit to funding the program. And so I'm very appreciative that they were the first one. And then the unions followed. And really it was Zena and I meeting each group at a time, trying to push the different festivals into having panels, where I think was the first time that Clara came and saw our panel there. But we've been very passionate right from the beginning, and then taking it even wider, and that's what this is about today, is very excited to have all of this collaboration across Canada. You know, we've got now CBC was one of the first, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Alberta, Newfoundland. They have all joined Real Green and are committed to, in whatever way they can, carry the best practices forward in their community. So it's very, very interesting how it's all working. And, you know, we just really feel that we have the power together to do anything. And, you know, I know this is one step at a time, but I think we're going to be doing leaps and bounds because everybody's passionate and everybody wants the same goals. And we have this expertise. And you know, it's sort of those next things that we need to get the what's the big word? Incentivize. You know, so we really all looking together how we're going to get more incentives, whether it be for innovation or whether it be for filmmakers and tax credits. So that's a big discussion. But I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the National Real Green Committee. But I'm very excited to be able to share that committee with Chris Dunn here, who's we'll speak a bit about it as well, but we've had our 4th meeting just recently. And I think, you know, Lisa's been there every time and, you know, we've been able to share what she's been up to. So everybody can speak about what, you know, they're up to in their areas, but also they're learning so much each time because we bring in guest speakers. So I think that gives it in a nutshell, but I'm sure I'll think of something else.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, and I'm going to just pass it on to Chris, last but not least, to kind of speak to Ontario Green Screen and how that came to be, and then we'll touch base on that national committee, which is why we're here today.
Awesome. Thanks, Smiely. Yeah, it's funny with the whole conversation. It feels like there's cogs in a wheel that have come together and kind of amazing. You know, Ontario Green Screen basically came together initially as a working group, and it was a working group of industry stakeholders, and they basically wanted to pick up and carry forward work that was carried out back in 2009 in Ontario with the Green Practices Guide. And then even though like that guide there was a lot of things that were taking place in production, individuals were doing it, there was no central hub for this to happen. So the working group decided to put together an advisory committee, which launched in 2020. We actually launched at TIFF 2020. Which was very exciting. We launched with 20 partners from across the industry. So it's unions, guilds, trade associations, vendors, producers, studios, just a wide selection of individuals that are really passionate about sustainability in the province. And in our first year, we dedicated to kind of build the foundation of Ontario Green Screen. So that was the year where we brought in a program manager who manages the day-to-day of the program. We developed a strat plan, we developed an implementation roadmap, and then we quickly ramped up our training efforts, you know, thanks to the Albert suite of tools that we're co-licensing as well with Real Green. So with that collaboration, it's incredible to see how quickly we were able to kind of mobilize and get moving. With our strat plan, we developed 4 main pillars, and those pillars come to you with building community, inform and educate, implementing best practices, and measuring the impact. So I think we've got a really good foundational document that will help us kind of get through this year, next year, and moving on to the subsequent years.
Thank you, Chris. And yeah, so now on to the National Real Green Committee, which was started this year, I believe. Yes. So Julie and Chris are both the co-chairs of that. And I'm wondering, how has that brought together the country to influence greater change and collaboration for our common collective goals for sustainable production? Either one of you can go first.
Do you want to start, Julie?
Yeah, I'll just jump in quickly. So this was something that I think we had dreamed about. Chris and I are just like, let's do this together. And it's really been great because it sort of crosses the country. Makes us feel that we've got almost everybody represented. And so we were really excited the very first time. January 15th was the very first meeting. And we had at least 27 groups, you know, and basically it's the national unions, it's the national vendors, it is also obviously the provincial film commissioners, and they wanted to know more. And so we were really excited to have such a great attendance. And of course, CBC's there in big time with Radio Canada and SODAC and, CMF. So, there's a lot, Telefilm as well. So there's a lot of people there, and there's lots of things that we want to be able to help everybody strategize, because everybody's at different levels, and sometimes, as you said, Lisa, it can happen quickly, and other things can be slower processes, like with Telefilm. Writing it into your contracts, that will be a process. Hopefully one day we'll be at where it's an expectation that you need to make your film sustainably. But yeah, so we're there to be able to help everybody realize what their goals are and offer some kind of support and expertise and real discussion, very meaty discussion points.
Yeah, and I'll just add that it's really kind of inspired. I'm not on mute. Yay. Okay. I thought I was on mute. I just want to add that it's really kind of inspired other jurisdictions to jump in and kind of ask the questions that they need to ask, right? If no matter where they are on their sustainability journey, if they're ready to kind of move into getting tools, or if they have the ability to get the tools, then it's a way for us to kind of all work together and share ideas, share those tools when we can, and just learn from each other. In as much as Ontario Green Screen learned from Real Green, we want to be able to help everybody else that's kind of starting out and learning from them as well. Smaller jurisdictions have great ideas that we might not have thought about, and there's been lots of kind of communication and collaboration through this group, which is just incredible. And as Julie was saying, it's a wide cross section of the national industry as well. So it's national unions, guilds, vendors, all of those people are part of that, and the broadcasters. And it's just a forum where we come together and we can all help each other out. So it's really an incredible, it's part of that cog, that wheel that keeps moving, and it's all seems to be coming together and gelling right now.
Thank you, Chris and Julie. And yeah, we're speaking a lot about the tools and all the resources that we are sharing with each other, and the information, and going across no matter where you are working in the industry. And I have a question. So thank you to people that are submitting questions. There's one question, it's targeted towards Clara on the union front, but I feel like this could be something anyone can speak to as well. So the question is, for co-productions that have both American and Canadian professionals in different unions, how will sustainable goals and communications happen between them? So Claire, if you want to answer that first, and then maybe like Lisa or Joanne can step in to speak on studio front as well.
I think everybody has the same goals. I mean, I think that internationally, the major studios have them, we have them, other countries have them. So I don't think there's going to be any conflict with it. In fact, we're going to learn from each other a lot. I mean, I know that when I've worked on shows that have international crew, they see what we're doing and they take it home. And then they go, have you ever thought of this? We go, oh no. And then we do that. So I think, again, it's a global industry. We're not very good at sticking in our silos. And I think that by opening this up to the unions and the vendors and the broadcasters and the film commissions and everybody at the same time, we're learning from each other constantly. Like somebody will say, oh, well, we should do that. And I'm like, well, we're not allowed to. Well, what? What do you mean? Well, we have to change this policy, or we have to change this practice. And then we have to figure out how to let everyone know that we've changed it. But we're very nimble. I mean, we move quickly. So I don't think one trumps the other. I think everybody's rowing in the same direction.
Thanks.
Just one thing I might just jump in on. Like, I think for us, the goal is calculate your carbon and understand it, and then do better. I think that's the bottom line. I will say, though, that there are different tools out there, and we have signed on with the Albert calculator, as have the provinces, which Julie mentioned. And I think the advantage to that for Canadian productions is that we're all sort of using the similar tool, and we can aggregate and share back. That's certainly part of our intention, to share back some of the learnings. And the hope is to develop a bit of a shorthand with that too and make it faster. So that's just sort of a small observation that might be a bit different. But I think the underlying goal, as Clara said, is the same.
Thank you. And Joanne, I don't know if you want to speak to when productions are coming and filming, say in Canada, anywhere here, how are you communicating those expectations to your productions to implement these sustainability principles and expectations?
Yeah, so we're starting, we have a meeting with all our productions before they start. So we have a program that we're following that works, all the tools seem to be coming together. And I think that's what I was referring to before, that I like the cog and the wheel all coming together, that we're all talking the same language. So I think, after a while, anecdotally, people are starting to hear the same message. Crews are starting to hear. So I've done this before. I've heard this before. So I think it's starting to kind of all weave in and out. So, but yeah, we have an introductory call with our productions. We set goals, and we talk about what it means to be a sustainable production for Sony. And when I talk about those percentages that we're looking at, how we our definition of it. So I think it's inspiring, and I think people, they have the similar tools as everybody's saying. So I mean, it's just part of our program.
And we get those mandates, and we get those production manuals or sustainability manuals or expectations on every single level, because it's very easy on a film set, especially if you're in any position on a film set. It's very easy when it gets really stressful and it gets really hard. It's really easy to abandon what you don't have to do. You can start going, oh my God, I'll deal with this tomorrow. I promise that set will be sustainable, but this one, I just have to get it done. Right. And I think that, in the same token, we love, well, some people are going to get very upset with me, but I think we like a box. I think we like rules, and we like a box, and we like a method of doing something, because what we do is so sporadic. It's nice to feel grounded in some way, shape, or form. And I think that this is a very grounding, positive way that we can all work together. But the more we're asked to do it, the more, we like stepping up to the challenge. There's no person on a film crew who doesn't want to step up and, give everything they can, because otherwise they're not, there's a lot easier jobs out there than what we do. So there's the passion that we have in storytelling or lighting or building or whatever, or even logistics. It depends what you're interested in. To start thinking of sustainability, or start thinking of your own job through a sustainable lens, is, I think, really key. It's not adding a new job to what you do. We don't know how to do your job. I want to go to the Jenny Op and say, what is the best way to power this set with clean energy? I don't know. I mean, I need that input. We need that back and forth. And then once we get that, I can now bring that to the table on a national level with all of these wonderful people and go, hey, we really need to start tying into the grid more. How do we make sure that our municipalities and our location vendors are allowing us to tie into the grid? Because it can't be on the location scout. It's got to be on. It's everybody's responsibility to shift on how we do things, and we've done it so many times. I mean, we went from film to digital. We went from smoking on set to no smoking on set. We did COVID. We did COVID. We were the fastest industry to recover. So I think that's the kind of the muscles we have to flex here.
Can I just chime in just one with some here's how, just in terms of the supports for independent producers around moving to use the carbon calculator. We did One Stop Green Week last week. Those 3 videos will be up on the Business and Rights site by the end of this week. That position that I mentioned, the sustainability expert, that their job is going to be to support internal and external production to understand and quickly implement the calculator. And we're putting it in the independent producers handbook. So there will be a number of different places that producers can go to, and we're going to stage it over the next couple of months. So if you're an independent producer and you're wondering, what is my next step, I encourage you to reach out to us, and we can either direct you somewhere, or you may give us an idea of something else we can do to support.
And I just wanted to add in too, that as film commissions, that's the whole beauty of this. That is our job. As a production services manager, I always saw this as something that had to come out of the film commission, guiding resources, making it easy. So we're the one-stop hub, and even to the point where we're now including it in our welcome letters to new productions. How are you being sustainable on your show? So they're going, okay, that's something that we need to work on.
Who's overseeing sustainability on your productions? Is what we're asking now.
So it's the collaboration of the film commissions for the studios to be able to go any jurisdiction, eventually in North America, of course, but in Canada, we can now control this. We can now work with each other and collaborate. So we can have the knowledge and empower.
Yeah, amazing. And, so from this conversation, we're learning that the tools exist, the resources are there, the incentives is there. It's becoming more of an expectation now than a suggestion. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and this is open to all of you. What are you finding are the conflicts or barriers that are stopping people, industry members, from adopting some of these principles or ideologies on set and in productions? Anyone can speak in.
I think for the most part, I think people are maybe unsure of where the resources are, and it's forums like this where we can really kind of lay out where they can find these resources. And with this blanket that's starting to cover Canada, there's resources from coast to coast to coast that you can access and you can tap into. And just as Julie was saying, like if you reach out to film commissions, if we don't have the answers, we can find the answers for you, and we can connect you with the resources that you're looking for. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges is just, where do I want to do this, but how do I do it? How do I become sustainable? And if the resources are readily there and available, it just makes it that much easier for everybody to jump into it.
Well, not in the knowledge. The knowledge is we know how to do this. We know we need to decarbonize. We know we need to, have a circular economy. We know, that we need to the terms are. But in terms of and I wasn't aware of this until I started working with the National Committee, is that there are some resources that aren't available across Canada right now. And I think we really need to work towards making this a commonplace, setting a national standard of sustainable production, helping the jurisdictions that don't have the leading edge that we've had out here in BC. On the other hand, I was on an art department caucus meeting, and the caucus leader from the Maritimes in Atlantic Canada said, "Oh, we only use the circular economy. What are you talking about?" And we all just went, "What?" Because that's just the way they do things. So, we really need to start making sure that the resources are there. We have some right now. We absolutely do. We have a lot of things that we can do. We're not close yet. We need to scale up on clean technology. We need to scale up on everybody understanding and being open to grid tie-ins and allowing us to use the grid without, whether that's on a personal level or the location owner's level or an insurance level or whatever. And we need to calculate, and we need to understand what we're doing and make sure that becomes common, because when of course you can't measure what you don't know what you can't measure, but also once you measure it, you know about it. Suddenly you go, oh my God, every time I turn on this generator, I am burning almost a ton of carbon. So I have to figure out a better way. So I think that's kind of the beauty of the calculator. And then we have to share it, and we have to make sure that we're stepping up. But we need our infrastructure, because we're nomadic. We do one production, right? And then we move on. And it's, if I wanted to get my studio electrified, it's going to take me longer than the span of my season. I might be canceled by the end of it. So how can I do that? So we do need our industry partners and the infrastructure and the stakeholders who are the permanent film industry to really step it up and make it easier for the producers and for the crew. You can't tell the crew to recycle if there's no recycling bin on set. It's not, how can they do that? So we have to make sure that we're asking them to do things that they can do right now. And we need to start consulting with them on things that we should be doing so that when we develop this technology and these practices, they work for our industry. Otherwise, it's, we're not going to move fast enough.
I'll add something to the knowing how we're doing piece. I think, that's kind of like the sharing of information on from the studio level, like how are we all doing? So basically, I think from what we did, we put out a progress report, a scorecard. Sony Pictures put out in the public, and I can send a link. But really, the purpose was that, like, here's what we're doing, and how does it compare? How does it, how are we doing? So with all, and we're a studio, we're on the lot, and it really reflects what we're doing in Culver City. But it's to that point of, understanding where everybody's at, so, here's transparency, basically. So that's available. I think that's going to be one of our challenges as well. Just figuring out and being inspired, and then, okay, what can we do better? Where could we be doing more?
Just the one other thing I wanted to add about resistance is that, I think resistance comes from all sorts of different places. And so I think that means we've got to try all sorts of different things. Some of the resistance is around time. I don't have the time to do this. And so that calls for one set of tools. Some resistance comes from, I think, knowledge. I don't have the knowledge, or I don't even know what you're talking about. I do actually think there's a third category of resistance that comes from what I'm going to call like hopelessness. Like, I'm only one person, what can I do? And I think that there are different tools. You need different tools for that, to address that. And I think it's important not to forget it. And I do think that there are things that we can do to address that, both in terms of really helping people understand that there is time left and there are things that we can do. So that's true. And then providing concrete examples. I think the other thing, and this does connect back to Real Green, is that one thing I found personally about Real Green, and I just encourage the audience, like, if you're someone who's trying to see action, like, surround yourself with a few people who believe it too, because sometimes that resistance actually honestly can wear me down, because people will say, oh, it's too big, it's too hard, it's too this. And Real Green, actually, when I go to those meetings, it really buoys my spirits, and in fact has inspired and challenged me to do better and be better. So I think that's just the other thing I'd say, just in terms of the resistance, but also trying to protect yourself so that you can keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Lisa. I think you made a really good point about that as well, because we're constantly seeing these goals of, we have 8 years left, and how do we hit these goals and targets? And it can get very overwhelming. It can put a lot of weight on you, and it's valid. But how do we balance that with taking immediate action and doing the best we can? So we've had a few questions come in. One was focused targeted towards Chris and Julie on Real Green. I know that Real Green has worked with the City of Vancouver to establish grid plugins for film sets, etc. Is this kind of initiative going to happen in Toronto? So this, I guess, comes back to engaging local communities, municipalities, organizations, companies, and why that's so important.
Right. Well, I work for the Ontario Film Commission, so it's not the Toronto Film Commission. So I can't really speak for the City of Toronto, but I know that there's conversations across the province about working towards, clean energy solutions, grid tie-ins. The Ontario Green Screen, we've put together a clean energy committee that's kind of talking about that, and we have representatives from the City of Toronto, City of Brampton, City of Mississauga that are part of those conversations. So yes, those conversations are happening, but I can't say if we've got dedicated tie-ins at this point. I know Vancouver does, but definitely is a conversation that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that the city of Vancouver has gone down that path already, and they give an incentive back just if you tie in and get rid of one diesel generator. So we're just hoping the rest of the municipalities jump aboard, if you're listening.
Yeah, and I know here in British Columbia, we are trying to engage as many provincial agencies to also create similar incentives for productions, whether that's, directly like taking a percentage off your permit fees or whatever that looks like. I have a question for Lisa. You spoke about journalism. Is there any effort or mandate to transition to solution-based journalism?
Not entirely clear. I know what solution-based journalism is, but I'll take a go at it. Our approach to climate and journalism is really laid out in Brodie Fenlon, our editor-in-chief's statement last week, which again we can share. What does that look like? That looks like bringing the facts to people. I'm sure that as part of that, there will be coverage of what different people, whether or not it's how they get to work or what they're wearing or how they're cutting their carbon, that there will be solutions embedded in that, if that was what was intended. I think, with journalism, you need to be mindful of striking an independence and a balance. And so obviously that, our journalists will be cognizant of that, and they will support and share solutions when, that's part of the story.
Thank you, Lisa. And we've touched base quite a bit about like the tools and resources. But coming back to that, I know we have some great tools and resources created just within the speakers here today. I think everyone has something to offer to the table. So I'd love to highlight a little bit of that. So we mentioned the carbon calculator that we licensed from Albert quite a few times in this. So that's something that's available to anyone and everyone interested in calculating their carbon footprint on productions, which we all very much recommend and suggest you do, because it gives you a blueprint as to what you're working with. And there's, I know at the CBC workshops that Lisa was helping organize last week, covered a good point about there's no right or wrong, and you're not trying to meet a target based off a different production's footprint. It's what you're doing with it that matters. And then Clara, if you want to just talk a little bit about the DGC Green, is it dgcgreen.ca?
Yeah, it's dgcgreen.ca, and it's open to everyone. It's not just members, it's anybody who wants to look at it. And what we've done is we've met with each caucus across the country and really made sure that what we're suggesting is something they can do right now. It's going to be a living site. So as there's more that we can do, we're going to add to it. Our focus is definitely, our first focus is engagement. We really want members to start telling us their stories, their positive green stories, because I think that everyone, back to barriers, people don't want to be the first one to take this big step. The reality is everyone's doing something. Like everybody is doing something. I mean, just the fact that, Joanne, you said over 70% of your shows are already being sustainable in some way, shape, or form. And so sharing that information and having kind of recreating that movement of success stories. I mean, it's amazing how we can all have the exact same winter gear within 2 seasons. We copy each other. We know what we want if it works over there. So that's, so the first one is engagement. The second one is fuel reduction, because we really are focusing on clean energy because we have to stop burning carbon. That's pretty much the science target. And, the target is a reduction of 50%, which I know it's based on 20, the Paris Accord, which I think was 2008, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Like, we really need to work to get there. We burnt, over 20 million liters of fuel in 2019 in Vancouver making productions. So for anybody who, yes, we need to measure our output, our carbon impact, but we already have a lot of data on what it is. And it's anywhere from 380 to 3,800 tons of carbon per production, according to the SPA report. So nobody is going to work on a film set and not burning carbon. So you just, by reducing it, even if everyone just said, hey, you know what, I'm going to reduce it by 1%, that'd be a huge impact. It'd be a huge start. And then tomorrow, let's make it 2% and just keep going. So we're really looking at using our membership to help facilitate and get it to the next level.
Thank you, Clara. And Joanne, I don't know if you want to speak on Sony's behalf in terms of what you have out there that is good for people to check out and refer to.
And so I think we use a lot of the same tools. So, with our productions in North America, we use the tools of the peach and the pear, and we provide those to our productions, and we work with them to come up with a carbon footprint and the carbon calculator that's involved with that. There is, the SPA group, we put out the Green Production Guide. I don't know how much of that has the Canadian and the cross-country tools, but it's kind of what we were talking about before. And as we branch out to Latin America and Europe, we'll start working with BAFTA as well. And again, it's local, so adapting these calculators and these tools to the local needs and helping those markets grow and making it easier. We don't want to complicate things, so it's like, how do we look at these local groups and give them, and whether it's Latin America or our Europe partners, what's going to fit for them. So we work closely with them.
And Lisa, I know CBC has a green tab and just like a whole page on greening our story, but is there anything more you'd like to add in terms of what's out there for people to check out?
Just to make it easy, because there's so many different resources on the CBC Business and Rights website. We've got a green production tab, and there you'll find the one-stop courses. There you'll find some tips and tricks, links to Albert, links to our partners that are here today. You will ultimately find a green production guide. And also, if you're listening and you're wondering, what is all this talk about carbon calculator? What is that thing anyway? There's a little tiny video I did about what is a carbon calculator, and just with a little look-see. So all of that stuff is all on our Business and Rights Green Production tab.
Lisa, I think that's so important, and I should have mentioned that as well. We have links to all of your tabs as well on all of our pages, just as Real Green and Ontario's Green Screen have the links to the PGA green production sites and Albert. And if you go on Albert, there's a link back to BC. And, this is, again, that we're a global industry trying to do this together. None of these websites or none of these tools are contradicting the other. These are all complementing each other. And we're like, here's some more information, go over here. And here's some more information, go over here. And I think that that'll take away a lot of the confusion, because once you kind of put your foot into that and you can dive really deep and you can get what you need. And I think that's what we're all trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to just mention like everything that's out there, and we're all collaborating in this process. And even check out realgreen.ca for all the links and, all these resources that we're talking about. And I know we're coming to the end of this talk. We just want to thank you to our panelists for joining us and speaking on this subject matter, which is so important.
I'll come anytime. It's my favorite subject.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all, and thank you Creative BC for pulling this panel together and for the inspiring conversation, everyone. It's very clear that there is a lot that has been done and a lot more that needs to be done. So it's, I think you all ended on a really poignant point. That collaboration is key. And if we do it across Canada, if we do it across North America, if we do it around the world, we're going to really move this conversation forward quite quickly. So keep it up, keep those networks strong. And I just want to say, this was the last live session for the day. So to all of you who've been joining in throughout the day, thank you very much. And we have the platform open for networking. Please utilize it. It is for you. You can set up chats. You can, message people, and tomorrow join back in on the platform for the Green Marketplace and Community Hub. There'll be some ambassador activity going on in there. And of course, the virtual booths. Please poke around through the whole platform and see what you can find. There's a lot of great stuff in there. And I will say we've got polls that are gonna run through our event feed. Please check those out. And we'll be posting other updates in the event feed as well. So and joining the conversation on social media. Like this is supposed to be, a launching off point. So if you feel inspired and you want to post something, we're at SPF_Vancouver, and we're using the hashtag SPF21. But you can also find us on LinkedIn and Facebook under Green Spark Group as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the platform and each other, and keep up the sustainable work.